Hey everyone. Today I want to take a closer look at an endgame that I played during the first 4 series between me and my friend a couple of months ago. While I did end up winning the series, this particular endgame was from game 9, which I lost and put me down 3 games to 2. On the surface, it looked as though I had this game relatively locked up going into the final few turns, but a closer look revealed how my chances of winning could have improved from around 80% to approximately 95%, which, while not much, ended up being the difference in the game. Before I present the image of the specific position, I have to explain that this was during the period that my recording device wasn't working, and I was taking screenshots of specific board positions. Suffice it to say, I didn't have this specific position screenshotted, and I was left to copying and pasting together different pieces from other screenshots to best recreate the situation about which I was speaking. So I apologize in advance if the images look disjointed, but I'll try my best to make up for it with my elaborations. So, to start off, it was turn 10, I had just stolen a star from Mario, and was making my way back to the front of the board to purchase an additional star. On the way to the star, however, I ran into one of the 2 comic shops, which presented an interesting choice on whether or not to purchase an item, as well as which specific item to purchase. It should be noted that I had 4 left on my roll, which means I would end up landing on this item space. It should also be noted that the only 2 items left at the comic shop at the time were the Super Creepy Dice and the Chomp Call. So everyone, let's get into it. The first thing that you need to be doing when facing this decision is checking your coin total. The worst thing that you could possibly do is purchase an item while subsequently leaving yourself less than enough coins to purchase the star that you're passing on the same turn. This is obviously different if you're passing some kind of coin replenishment station between the item shop and the star, but in this position, that's not the case. I obviously have enough to buy an item and still buy the star, but if we're projecting forward, if I were to buy the Chomp Call, that would drop me to 39 coins, and after the star, I would end at 19. I'm also landing on the item space, so I won't be receiving any additional coins. That would put me at 19 coins to end the turn, in which case, I would need to gain at least 1 minigame coin to give me a chance at another star on the following turn. This could either be accomplished through a coin game, which would be the easiest route, by finishing in 3rd place or better in an individual player minigame, which is relatively easy depending on the minigame, or by flat out winning a team minigame, which is the most difficult because the game has to result in a flat-out win with no fallback options. Because I'm the first player to go in the turn order, I have no idea whether or not it will be a team minigame, because I have no idea what color space everyone else is going to land on. The bottom line is, ending the turn with 19 coins is risky, and definitely a point against purchasing the Chomp Call. The next thing you want to look at when making a decision like this is turn order. Now, I want to clarify, there are 2 factors that come into place when looking at turn order. One is what I like to refer to as fixed position. This regards who goes 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on each turn. The other is what I like to refer to as relative position. This doesn't have anything to do with whether you're finishing first or last in the turn, but rather when you go in correspondence with each opponent. For example, if I go first in the turn, when speaking about fixed position, I'm going before everyone else, but in regards to relative position, I'm actually going after the player going last because they go directly before me. This comes heavily into play when looking at this decision. If we take a deeper look, fixed position most often only matters in relation to certain board gimmicks because the player going first in the turn will be able to act first after the specific board event has changed certain variables. For example, in Goomba Lagoon, the player going first will be able to take advantage of certain star portals because they will be first to act after the tides go up or down and different pathways open up. When it comes to items, they usually have less to do with fixed position, while some have stronger effects in terms of relative position. An item like the Chomp Call has little to do with fixed position and a lot to do with relative position, because of the fact that the more people who go in between you and the opponent on whom you want to play defense, the more chances there will be for the star portal to move again and eventually end up in an advantageous position for said opponent. In this particular game, this matters a lot because of the fact that while I'm first in fixed position, I'm directly after the opponent on whom I'm trying to contain, that being Mario, instead of directly before. The reason that Mario is my primary focus is because he's the only other human player in this game, so he's likely to make more strategic moves that actually help his long-term results, as opposed to the CPUs, who have already weak item equity and are likely to continue meandering around the board and chasing the star regardless of where it is or how it may hurt their overall status. Mario does end up getting a buddy later in the turn, but that's not relevant to this specific decision. So, because of my relative position to Mario, a chomp call is unlikely to yield the desired results. On the contrary, an item like the Super Creepy Dice is an item that is designed to target all three opponents, meaning that it actually has a slightly increased value during endgame for the player going first in fixed position, because of the fact that they can use it on either turn 11 or 12 and still get full value by slowing down all three opponents. If we look again at this specific situation, this actually comes well into play because of the fact that I go first on turn 12, which is when I would want to use it. This would limit the mobility of anyone who does not have an acceleration item at the time of this item being used. This would help to keep my opponents from reaching critical stars, which would not only work to limit the specific opponent closest to the star, but also to limit other opponents by keeping the star in its current location and preventing it from changing portals. This is what I like to call variance control. I'm preparing to make a move to keep the star in place, which not only prevents one opponent from reaching it, but prevents it from moving, in which different opponents would be able to reach it and potentially move it an uncertain number of times while collecting an uncertain amount of stars. Let's look at this specific game as an example. Since this star portal was the last to open, the portals are going to be reset after it's purchased. This means that the star can end up going anywhere. After I purchase the upcoming star, let's say the star moves over here. With all portals being open, it would be very helpful to make sure that this star is not purchased, as it may then move to an area where multiple stars may be purchased thereafter. Let's say it moves here next, and then a double dice is used. Remember, there are plenty available through lucky spaces. It then has the potential to move here next, and then possibly here, and then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 stars are purchased on the final turn by one opponent, in which case I'm potentially dead in the water. This is actually one of the disadvantages of being first in fixed position, as final turn variance is more likely to benefit your opponents than yourself. Because of this, variance control should be a priority when making endgame decisions. I do want to clarify that variance control should only be considered when you're ahead in the star count, because when you're behind, you actually need a little variance to help make up the difference. Because of what I just discussed, it would still be the correct choice to purchase the Super Creepy Dice if I were starting at 46 coins. But what if I were starting at 44 coins? Would I still want to purchase the Super Creepy Dice, or would I want to bypass making a purchase entirely? The answer is that I would still want to purchase the Super Creepy Dice, even though I would end the turn with 19 coins. The reason for this is threefold. One is that I'll still have the upcoming minigame to hopefully put my coin total back to 20 plus. Two is that even if I don't, there is only one star portal within my flat roll range from the item space on which I'm landing, and I don't have any acceleration items, so there's a good chance I wouldn't be able to reach the following star anyway. If I were to get a double dice from the item space, there's still only one additional star portal within 14 spaces. After that, we're talking about 21% and lower odds to reach any additional star portals with a double dice. Remember, this is pro rules, so triple dice and golden pipes are not available on item spaces. If Toadette was to use her lever on this turn, it would still be the same odds across the board. One star portal within my flat roll range, 1 within 14 spaces, and 21% or lower for all other star portals with a hypothetical double dice, which I probably won't even acquire. There are also warp items that could help me, including the shop hop box, which I currently have, as well as the warp box, which is also available on the item space on which I'm landing. These items don't provide a significant change in the percentages of me reaching the star on the following turn. Accounting for the shop hop box, regardless of whether or not Toadette uses her lever, there are only 2 to 3 star portals of the 9 possible options in which the star can land within the flat roll range of any given item shop. On top of that, I would then need to hit the specific item shop with the item, and then hit the necessary roll thereafter. Accounting for the warp box, again, regardless of whether or not Toadette uses her lever, there would have to be at least one player within flat roll range of the star to begin the following turn. I would again have to land on the space occupied by that specific player, as well as hit the necessary roll thereafter. The point is, I'm very unlikely to reach the star on the following turn, so it's not imperative that I have the necessary 20 coins to purchase it on turn 11. Because of this, I will have an extra turn and extra minigame to bring my coin total back to 20 plus. The third reason to purchase the super creepy dice anyway is that because of the fact that I most likely won't be getting an additional star on turn 11, and potentially not for the remainder of the game, I will need the value from the super creepy dice to help me play defense on my opponents by either slowing them down enough to keep them from reaching stars, manipulating their rolls so that they end up landing on Bowser, or favorably both of these things. But unfortunately, even with the 45 coins, I made the wrong decision and purchased the Chomp Call. So now what? This is probably the most important piece of the analysis. So I made a bad decision, but one of the most important skills in Mario Party, as in any strategy game, is knowing how to pivot and move forward with the current variables in place. Suffice it to say, I ended up losing the minigame at the end of turn 10 and wound up receiving 0 additional coins. So the next question is, now that I'm starting turn 11 with 19 coins instead of 20, should I still use my shop hop box on this turn, or hope to save it for when I have the sufficient amount of coins to purchase the star? The answer is to use it, and this, like always, is for a couple of reasons. One is that if I end up going to the shop that takes me near the star, there's a chance that I'll roll short, wait for more coins, and still be able to purchase the star on the following turn. The closest to the star is Toadette, who's 11 without an acceleration item, so the star is very likely to stay put for an additional turn anyway. The star is 6 from the shop, so 5 or less, and I'm good, which is basically a coin flip. Those are decent odds. If I hit a 6 through 10, I still have backdoor odds to reach one of these star portals if I decide to chomp the star on turn 12. A 3 through 5, and I can take the 10 coins from the lucky space or the 6 coins from the blue space, giving me enough to purchase the star on turn 12. More importantly, I could purchase the super creepy dice at the item shop and still have enough coins for the star with the 10 from the lucky space or the 6 coins from the blue space, which would pretty much make up for the turn 10 blunder. This brings me to the second reason to use the shop hop box now, rather than waiting, which is being able to benefit from the item shop at which I land. Remember, you can't purchase items on the final turn, meaning that if I want to get extra value from my shop hop box, rather than just the value from the warp, I need to use it with at least one turn to spare. This is especially helpful if I don't hit the 33% chance of landing by the shop near the star, and I hit one of the other 2 shops instead, because I can purchase an item that can help me win the game in a different way. Remember guys, this is a game of statistics, and you want to be giving yourself as many outs as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, I can buy the super creepy dice if I were to land at either of the 2 comic shops, which can, as I also mentioned earlier, slow down Toadette's mobility, helping to keep the star in place and far from Mario. However, if I land at the Koopa shop, I can buy something else that can be equally, if not more, useful. Now, in this specific game, the bonus star is the event star, and I happen to be 1 behind Ninja in event spaces. If I were to purchase the custom dice, provided I were to roll a 3 or higher on this turn, I would be within 10 of this event space and could then custom there on the final turn. If I were to roll a 2 or lower, I could still purchase the double dice or double payday dice and have backdoor odds to hit the event space with a lucky roll. I could also purchase the custom dice and custom to any opponent within 10 spaces on the final turn to duel for a star. In the scenario of a different bonus star, I can still purchase an item for different intentions. I could purchase a custom dice and roll a low or high number to add to any slowpoke or sightseer equity. If I was looking for a higher upside in sightseer equity, I could also purchase a double dice or double payday dice. These are all choices that would contribute to bonus star equity, which is yet another way to help seal the game. One other thing I could do is purchase a skeleton key, which would open up a second star portal possibility in the event that I decide to chomp the star on turn 12. So, let's get back to what actually happened. Unfortunately for me, I was somewhat inebriated at the time, and I in turn began thinking very unilaterally. Or I guess I should say bilaterally, but definitely not as multilaterally as was necessary. My only real focus was getting the star, but I did not want to risk passing it early and not being able to purchase it. I also noticed that I was 2 spaces away from an event space. Because of the added potential bonus star equity, I decided to use the creepy dice on myself, in which I would either hit the event space and effectively end the game, or hit one of the 2 blue spaces, giving me enough coins to chase the star on the final turn. The problem with this move is that it's entirely too passive. Yes, it's great if I hit the 1 out of 3 chance of getting the event space, but if I don't, then my options to help myself close out the game diminish significantly, and I'm basically left with a 17% chance on the final turn of getting to this specific item shop with my shop hop box, and then rolling the necessary 6 to acquire the star. If that doesn't happen, I have to cross my fingers and hope and pray that Toadette either rolls short of the star over the course of the final 2 turns, or the next star doesn't land anywhere within Mario's range on the final turn. What would be even more disastrous is if Mario were to hit the 1 out of 3 chance of landing at this item shop with his shop hop box, and then roll the necessary 6 himself. That would basically put me in a position where I would have to hit the star or an event space on turn 12 to have any chance of winning the game. So what actually happened? Well, as you can probably imagine, since I'm making this video, everything that could have gone wrong ended up going wrong. I ended up using my shop hop box on turn 12, hitting the Koopa shop in the top left corner, far from the star, and rolling a 2 just for good measure of letting me know that it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Toadette ended up 3 away from the star to start turn 12, a perfect situation for me to have a super creepy dice, and ended up rolling enough for the star. The star then moved to this star portal from which Mario was 5 away, and he used his double dice to purchase 2 stars with the help of his buddy. We both ended up with 3 stars, and I lost by coin difference. In the end, the main takeaway from this analysis is that taking a look at your coin equity is super important, but even more important is staying aggressive, staying active with your decisions, and using multifaceted thinking to ensure you're looking at all of the relevant variables. Well everyone, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give a like, comment, subscribe, and share with as many people as you'd like. Alright guys, I'll see you all next time.